Hello everyone, my name is Randy. I am making this video on how to replace a steering box on a 1996 GMC Yukon. It is the OBS. It should be the same for anything between, I believe, an 88 to 99. This is a four-wheel drive vehicle. I am replacing this the second time. The first time I made it a huge mess. Knowing what I know now, I want to show you guys kind of the tricks that I've learned in doing this. I replaced with a remanufactured O'Reilly's. It was probably, I think it's $300, and they gave me $88 for the core. Well, it didn't leak, but the steering was still sloppy. And I just got done replacing the pitman, the idler. I put new sway bar links and the inner and outer tie rods. So the only thing I have left are the upper and lower ball joints. I'm pretty sure that after looking at this, and I checked my rag joint on the steering column shaft as well, and it seemed to be pretty tight. All the play looked like it's coming from the steering box itself. So when they replace these, I don't know if you can see me or not, when they remanufacture those steering boxes, I'm guessing that they just go ahead and replace all the rings, O-rings, seals, stuff like that, and they don't even look at that worm gear and how loose it is. So I ordered a new one. My second one is going to be from Blue Top. Took a lot of looking online to find this, but they're supposed to be one of the best. There's Redhead and Blue Top, and between the two, I guess people could argue, but I believe it's going to be the better one, so that's what we got coming. So I'm going to go ahead and run through the steps of what you need to do to replace your steering box. We'll start up top here. I've already started the project, so I'm going to show you where I'm at. This right here is your steering shaft. Okay, there's a hole right there at the front of that steering shaft. I'm going to point that out with a, let's see here, get some light on it. So right there where my wrench is at, that is a 7/16 bolt. You'll need to slide this cover right here. This pops on the inlet on the steering box itself. That first hole closest. Just pull that up, slide it back, rotate it, and you can go ahead and pull that bolt out. Once that bolt is removed, I used a long crowbar, kind of got in there. Be careful what you're prying on. You don't want to pry on any hoses and stuff like that. But you just need to separate that shaft from the steering box. Let's see here. There you go. So you gotta disconnect the two, separate them. That shaft will slide up probably about 4 or 5 inches. So when that's done, we need to look at the inlet and outlet hoses, which when we get focused here, maybe that'll work better. Okay, so there's two right there. There's one, there's one. No, those are both, they're two different size holes, but the actual head size on there are 18 millimeter. Both of them are 18 millimeter. So when you take those off, the last time I took these off, I wasn't prepared and they dripped all over the place, and I had a damn mess. So this time what I did was, you see these are duct taped. Back up. So I got two of them, they're flexible. All right, so as soon as I disconnected it from the steering box itself, put my finger over that, turned them upside down, and I used an earplug, an old earplug. I just went ahead and smashed it down, shoved it in there, and threw the duct tape on just to keep it in there. That way I'm not messing it with the, I mean, I had power steering fluid all over the place. It was a disaster. So I don't know if that's the best thing to do, but I'm gonna tell you what, so far it has been awesome for me. So that's everything on top. Let's go down below. bolts right there. We've got 4 bolts for the skid plate. Yeah, it's a plastic skid plate, so it's the one that sits right up here in front. Okay, and then I've got 3 bolts sitting over there. Those 3 bolts come out of this back skid plate. So I took 3 out, loosened that last one up, just so I could rotate the skid plate around backwards without having to take it off. I mean, make it easier to put it back on. So there's your steering box right there. Let's see here. I got my light. I'm gonna back up a little bit. There you go. Steering box, and that is where it connects to your pivot arm. Okay. So once we removed these skid plates, we came over here, and this is how your steering box is attached to the frame. This is an 21 millimeter. There's and then there's 21 and a 21. Okay, so you gotta take those out. This top one would not come out all the ways because the sheet metal out there, you can see it's kind of all bent up. I had to bend it back just so I had access to it. And before you take that top 21 millimeter, this little box right here, this thing will be attached. This is it's keyed on the bottom side right there, so it'll fit in that hole, that designated. There's a hole in the frame, it'll fit there. And those are 2 13 millimeter bolts. So pull those 2 out. Go ahead and fold this back up out of the way, there, like that. Then you've got access to both of those. Okay. So when those are done, the next thing we got to do is get to the. Try to make this. I got LASIK done last year. Last time I replaced this, I had crap falling all over my eyes. Wasn't good. Okay. So, what can you see here? Oh, there we go. Okay. So there's the pitman arm. We do not have to take the pitman arm off. We need to disconnect the pitman arm from, let's see here. Getting ready to see just ahead of that right there. That nut is what keeps the pitman arm on the steering box, okay? Now the only way to access that thing is if we jack up the front end. Yeah, jack up the front end and get the, let's see if I can look at that. I don't have a lift, so it's kind of hard trying to show you guys everything. We're too zoomed in. Let's zoom out a little bit. Okay. So there is the steering box. In there you can see that yellow right there, and that's the nut. So we got to get that over this bar. So once you have it loose from the frame, you can jack up the front end. What I've done is just jack up the front end since I'm working on the ground. I'll put my jack stands under it just enough to get the wheels off the ground, and then I can lift the steering box up, and I can push it up high enough, turn the wheels slightly, and I can get to that nut. So you use a nut, 1 5/16 socket to get that nut off. Once that is off, use a pitman arm puller to go ahead and separate the pitman arm from the steering box. Okay, I will tell you that is a difficult thing to do if the previous person had torqued it down too much. So the first time I replaced this, I almost gave up, but I had a breakover bar, and I was able to use that breakover bar on the puller itself to go and crank it loose. So once you get everything done, when you get that pitman arm separated from the steering box, you're going to go ahead and pull it out from the front here. Now that box is heavy. It's probably around 35 pounds, 35, 40 pounds. And it takes a little maneuvering to get it out. It's gonna come out this front, this way. Once that's out, you do everything in reverse. So, hope this helps someone in the future. If you enjoyed this, and go ahead and give me a thumbs up. This is my first video. I'm just tired of not being able to find what I need on YouTube. So, guys, good luck.